Hey guys, how's it going? Steve here with Nomadic Woodsman. So, I'm just doing pretty good here. I'm hanging out in the garage, working on some canoe parts. I've been at home here all week with my son Charles because his daycare closed. But we're all good, we're all healthy and doing really good. So he's just having a nap right now. So I thought I'd, give you guys a little bit of an update. Haven't had a chance to really go out much. We've just been hanging out in the house. Like I said, working on some parts of canoes. So I want to do a bit of a answer to a lot of my Spruce Bark Canoe series questions. I haven't had a chance to do that, so I'll do that. So a lot of questions I had is how long does it take to build a spruce bark canoe? So I have it hung up here in the garage for the winter, but in the spring I'll do some trips with it. So I built a little table explaining kind of how much time it takes. Alright, so I have it divided up. So time to build a 13-foot spruce bark canoe. So for everything you gotta find the materials, you gotta gather them, you gotta process them, and then you gotta assemble the canoe. And I did also quite a bit of researching, like to find the knowledge how to build it and how to do it. So, and then at the top here is each different part of the canoe. So it kind of all adds up. I put like a day basically equals 7 hours, and then this is kind of like how long of a day does it take. So like it took me 2 days to find the good bark, and then to gather the bark it took 2 days as well, because there were 2 people. So if it would have been one person, I would have put one. We were 2 people, 1 day 2 people, so on and so forth. So total, when you add all of this up, I don't need to go in each detail. I think you guys can read that pretty easily. But total, it took 255 hours. So 36.5 days. So that's like for someone by himself, and for me it was my first time building an actual spruce bark canoe, so I'm sure it could be done faster. But for me anyways, about 250 hours. So I wrote down a few questions here that people asked. Colorado Martini asked, well, that is amazing, but you can do this. Where did you learn how to do this? It rocks. So basically, I just the last video I posted is a video where I built a birch bark canoe with my friend Francois from 2010 to 2014. So he really showed me tons in that process. And then the books that he used to learn and that I used as well are right here. And there's also great videos called Caesar and his bark canoe, César et son canot d'écorce. And then there's a great video too on YouTube from Billy Rioux with under François Bourbeau, where they make a spruce bark canoe. So those are kind of inspirations there. But overall, like canoe building, these are the 2 books. So this is like the Bible of birch bark canoe building. It's called The Bark Canoes and Skin Boats of North America. And then this one is like a guide, and it tells you like all the different, basically tells you, let me see here. So this tells you like all the different parts, and there's actually a scale that tells you what size you gotta do them. The spruce bark canoe, let me find it here. The spruce bark canoe is actually on this page right here. The bottom one here, you can see the crimp in the bark, and then you can see it's kind of inspired off of the Iroquois elm bark canoe, so it's the same technique for an elm bark canoe and a spruce bark canoe. So that's kind of the model that you can see here. And so this one doesn't have much colored photos. But what this one is the Bark Canoes and the Art and Obsession of Edwin Tappanadney. So he's the author of the other book with, what's his name, Howard Chappell. But this is a canoe that I'm working on right now, so I want to recreate, that'll be my next project, recreate a Tête de Boule one-man birch bark canoe. Next project for the future. But the these are great books. Like, even if you're into bushcraft in general or history, anthropology, these are awesome books. Let me see here. I gotta find. Okay, so let me see here. The Spruce Bark Canoe that I built is exactly this model here. So it's called the Maliseet Spruce Bark Canoe. These are models. So they're 1/5 the size of the realistic, like full-size canoes that Tappanadney built to basically help preserve the history and how to make bark canoes. And so this one in the photo is actually 36 inches, so it's just 3 feet long. But I built it up to size to build a 13-foot long. But you can see it's almost identical as to mine. The only difference with mine is that this one here is willow that I bent, and that's willow. They used cedar bark to lash, but I don't have any cedar here in Alberta, so I used spruce roots. And on top here is kind of some more info on it. And then there are tons of different models of canoes. Like this one here is a temporary Maliseet moose hide canoe. Really cool. Some birch bark ones. See, this one is like a Upper Yukon Gwich'in birch bark hunting canoe. Like, there's just so much stuff in this book. It's a great book. Old photos, really cool book. And then another book as well that I used to learn quite a bit of stuff is right here, book Bushcraft by Mors Kochanski. And let me see here, it's kind of awkward to open. So this chapter here on ropes and cordage and bindings talks about conifer roots. And let me turn the page here. It shows you some different splitting. Yeah, so it shows you like all the different ways of splitting the roots to make the bindings. So another great book there. See my canoe compared to the photo there. There's the straight front, and then I use the spruce roots for the lashings, and then there's the sheathing. So yeah. Question number 2, Blackbone asked, nice job Steve, looks really nice. Noticed with you in it in the back, the front rode high out of the water. With you and mom, it was perfect. Is it pretty light? Now, what is the weight of it? So, I did not weigh the exact weight, and I have it now hung up. I will weigh it in the spring once I take it down to give you an actual exact measurement. The thing with bark canoes is that when they're wet, they absorb some water, right? It's wood, so they'll be heavier than when they're dry. This one, I'd estimate about same kind of weight as like a 15-foot fiberglass or plastic canoe, so around 70 pounds, 80 pounds. It might be less than that, but the thing with spruce bark, and this one I used spruce and not cedar, so it's a little bit heavier, but it's still like it's doable to carry around in portage, like you saw in the video where I tried it. So yeah, I guess it'd be between 60 and 80 pounds. You could make some smaller ones that would be a little bit lighter. They're not as light, of course, as your carbon boats and things like that, but they're not bad. And the way they float on the water too is different, because wood floats like the density of wood. So I feel like they float in a different way as other types of canoes, but I don't know, that might just be my biased opinion, I don't know. And then Yann Lapp asked in French, ça doit être fou le nombre d'heures que tu as passé sur ce projet, vraiment du beau travail, ça mériterait d'être dans un musée après que tu aies fait quelques essais sur l'eau. Merci de partager. So he's asking, he's basically saying it must be crazy the number of hours you put on this project. Really nice work. It would deserve to be in a museum after I did a few outings with it. So thanks a lot, Yann, I appreciate it. Like for the hours, Yann, so les heures, 25.5 hours, so 255 heures total. If you guys didn't know, I do speak French and English. My YouTube channel is in English just to try to, you know, get a broader audience. But in the future, I would like to do like some French videos as well. I speak, I don't have a preferred language. I speak both, and Canada has 2 official languages. But yeah, I like French, I like English. Both have their pluses and their minuses, but that's not really the purpose of the video. But just so you know, I do speak both languages. So if you have more questions, I can answer more questions. That was like the main questions that I had. I know I'm forgetting some, but well, doing my best. So let's talk a little bit about some projects that I've been working on. So I have a bunch of cedar ribs here, and I am working on a birch bark canoe that I want to build next summer. So I have a few pieces that I've been working on. These are the thwarts. So that's like goes into the center of the canoe. And then I'm working on some gunwales too. And then I have this part here. These are white birch, so it's hardwood for the thwarts. And then this goes up at the end. But I have the other pieces are actually soaking in the water right now back here. So when I'll make some shapes and actually create the shape of the canoe, I'll do another video and show you the process. So yeah, I try to keep busy in the garage. It's nice that I have the garage, the frame back here. So right here. So this is what goes at the bottom of the bark. Once you unroll your bark to make your canoe, you put this frame, so it's called the bottom frame, and it just goes at the bottom of the bark to give the canoe shape. So this one's the canoe is going to be a smaller canoe. It's going to be 10 feet. So this is a little bit shorter than that, and it's 20 inches wide, so it's going to be quite narrow and also quite short, but I think it's going to be pretty light. I'll just show you the wood that I have back here in the water. It's still winter, so the water wants to freeze. You can't really see that much because it's weighed down by some weights. But that's the gunwales here, the inner gunwales and the out whales. I just gotta soak them in the water for like a couple weeks before bending them to shape with boiling water. Alright, so those were basically the 3 books that I used. And as well, I want to talk about the tools that I use to build a canoe. So, back in the day, so what they would mostly use would simply be an axe, some wedges, or old axe heads for wedges, and as well the crooked knife, which is used as a draw knife and would replace as well the plane. And axes, that's pretty much would be the tools, and then they probably have some sort of a knife as well. But so for me, I use that, and then I use some other tools as well that just make the process easier or faster. So, piece of plastic just for helping gather the bark. So you slide this between the bark and the wood, and it helps disconnect the bark. This one, as you can see, it's got a bunch of spruce gum still on it. I got my crooked knife. These little knives are really handy. Just Stanley utility knife. Used a lot of Mors knives as well. These as well, can't remember what they're called, but they are really handy to keep the bark in place. And then see, these are different wedges, so when you're splitting your logs for your ribs or for your sheathing, I started up with the metal, and once you get your crack going, you can use your wedges. These ones are birch, hardwood wedges. These are really handy, these little clamps as well for holding bark together. The traditional method would be a split piece of wood tied up at the end, and then you use it as like a big clothespin, or a big, basically a big clamp. So I did keep a bunch of these. This is very handy as well. So this is the draw knife. Use both hands to pull it towards you to take the bark off. I used it like you saw in the videos as well to split the logs with. So just the draw knife, some sort of a baton for splitting and hammering the ribs in the canoe. Honestly, like that's pretty much it. Oh, as well, pots. So big pots to boil water, to boil your roots, and boil your spruce gum as well. I keep these for the next canoe, because once you boil or you have spruce gum in there, you're not gonna be able to use the pot again for actual cooking food. So a couple more tools that I used that I don't have here are the chainsaw. So a Husqvarna chainsaw. You can do it by hand as well. It's just a lot longer to cut your tree and your logs and things like that. And then as well, I used a power drill. So those are the two kind of power tools that I did use. Hand drills would be used in the past, just like a hand drill. Even that, like the more primitive method would be the bow drill with a little piece of rock at the front, but using an electric drill works very well. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the tools. I have been working on some paddles too. They're not finished yet. I didn't really film that much. So this is the paddle. It's not fully finished yet, but it's the initial shape that I have right now done. Still have to finish out carving this end here, and kind of finish sanding. So it's a work in progress, you know. And then I'm making a smaller one too for my son. It's, this is the other one that I'm making for Charles, for my son. It's not done yet. Obviously, I have to finish carving it. I'll show you once it's done too what it looks like. Also, I've been just working right now on some pegs. I'm building a bunch of wooden pegs. So, yeah. I hope you guys are doing good. This is a quick and short video, but like I said, I'll make another one maybe next week or the week after, depending on the weather, when I actually have a chance to bend those canoe parts, those gunwales. So yeah, well, try to stay busy and take care of your mental health. If you guys have to stay inside, call your friends, call your buddies, your family. Yeah, give them some phone calls if you can't go see them in person, like myself, so I have to stay at home. So alright, you guys, take it easy and stay safe. Have a good one. Thanks for watching.